Hello everyone, my name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and today we're going to be talking all about the April 2020 paper pumpkin kit called My Wonderful Family. Today, in addition to alternative card projects, I also have a scrapbook page. I'm particularly excited about the scrapbook page because it is something that's very near and dear to my heart, but in all honesty, is not something that I have worked on in quite a long time. But long before I became a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I was very into genealogy and family history research. I had put together a couple of scrapbooks. I had done a lot of interviews with my family and research and the whole thing. And when I found out that the theme of this month's paper pumpkin kit kind of had that heritage element to it, I really wanted to do a scrapbook page. So here's what I came up with. We'll be recreating this today along with the cards. These two cards here, these two cards are actually from the original design from the paper pumpkin team. And these two cards are the alternative projects. We are going to start with a quick walkthrough of everything that's going to come in this month's paper pumpkin kit. I'm actually going to put right up on the screen a picture of the teaser for May 2020's paper pumpkin kit, which is all about the new in colors that are going to be coming out and launched in the new catalog. They're going to be including in colors in that kit. It's going to feature new in colors, which is why what you're seeing is all white at the moment, because they have not been released yet. We did get a sneak peek at one of the colors called Bumblebee. I cannot say if it's going to be in the May 2020 kit. I would hope so, but from what I understand, there's going to be some in colors, some new ones in next month's kit. So be sure to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin if you haven't already by May 10th so that you can receive the May kit. So every month when you get your Paper Pumpkin kit, you also get a flyer. And these are the two pictures that I typically go off of when I'm assembling my cards, but they also include instructions here. Okay, and this is a 4-step system that they have this month. There's always a ruler guide at the bottom of the flyer so that if they do include something like ribbon, like they did this month, they have some Melon Mambo ribbon in there. If you need to measure it out, they'll give you the instructions for how much you need to measure out. You'll be able to just use this if you don't have a ruler handy. And then on the back is where you'll see your inventory for your kit. You'll see the coordinating colors, which is always a big one for me. You'll see some alternatives that the Paper Pumpkin team came up with, which, how cute. And then you'll see all of the information if you want to go and check out Paper Pumpkin on social media. Okay, so here are the colors, the coordinating colors that the Paper Pumpkin design team has chosen for the April 2020 Paper Pumpkin kit. We have 4 different versions in the green family, from light to dark and some with some blue. So we have the Soft Seafoam, Shaded Spruce, Mint Macaron. Pear Pizzazz is the primary color. This is what color you get with the ink spot this month. Crushed Curry, Early Espresso, and what I like to call the wild card color, which is Melon Mambo in this month's kit. So here you can see all of the coordinating colors stamped using the tree leaf stamp from this month's kit, just so that we can get an idea of the color palette. And then what I've been doing is every month I have been stamping the entire stamp set that comes in the paper pumpkin kit in each of the coordinating colors, so that we can all get an idea of what these stamps, what every stamp looks like in each one of the colors. See which ones that we love, the ones that maybe we don't. If you're interested to see how I do this each month, I will link to the original video where I showed how I do this with the Stamparatus. There's no particular order to it other than I try to leave some room if I want to either die cut a piece or use a punch, you know, with it. But sometimes I just want the overall picture. Sometimes I don't cut anything out of it at all. So the first color was the Early Espresso, Melon Mambo, Shaded Spruce. I loved the way that everything looked in Shaded Spruce. Crushed Curry, Mint Macaron. I have to say that this is probably one of my favorite colors out of all of the color collections, is Mint Macaron. Pear Pizzazz, which is the main color in this month's kit. You're going to be seeing a lot of Pear Pizzazz in this video. Soft Seafoam. Look at how light that is. This month there are 2 designs, and we're going to assemble the original designs before we start working on the alternative projects. Okay, I just think that it is always good to do a quick check to make sure that you have everything that is supposed to be included in the kit. All right, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is the stamp set. Okay, here are all of the stamps that come in the set. So just to show you here, Happy Father's Day, Happy Mother's Day, I'm glad you are my family, to my wonderful, and then you can finish with whoever you are intending your project or card to be for, mom, daughter, sister, brother, dad, son, family, where life begins and love never ends. I will always, or I'll always be here for you. The tree, the leaves, and this little leaf stamp. These butterflies. Okay, so that's the stamp set. The next thing is the Pear Pizzazz Classic Stampin' Spot. Okay, so what I have started doing is using my larger ink pads. So when you see me making the projects, I have been working with my full-size ink pad, meaning this one here, just so that you can see them next to each other. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get 4 card bases of each type. So there's the one, and then here are the others. So we have 4 of these as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to get 8 cards in this kit. These are fun fold cards. The other thing that we're going to get, I keep covering my inventory list, the printed envelopes. So what they mean by that is your envelopes are actually printed. So you have each of the 2 main patterns that come in the set. The printed die cuts. You get a lot of printed die cuts this month. You get the crushed curry butterflies. You get the mint macaron birds in both directions, which is nice. You get some of these banners. Okay, we have this here in the soft seafoam. We have a little bit more of a patterned version. Almost looks speckled in the crushed curry. We have the leaves, these like leaf branches. This is the larger version of the small stamp that we have here. That one there. Okay, we're also going to be getting these. This has the nicest saying on it. I'll read that in just a minute. I'm going to dig out the trees too, because the trees are my favorite, and it's because it has that heritage theme. Okay, so you're also going to get 6 trees, okay, per box, depending on if you buy more than 1 paper pumpkin kit a month. You're going to be getting your adhesive dots, and you're also going to be getting the mini dimensionals this month. Okay, a sheet of the mini dimensionals. For your embellishments, you're going to get the pearls in, looks like mint macaron and crushed curry, and ribbon in the melon mambo. Okay, so this reads, Life's greatest blessings begin and end with family. It is in families that we learn to love, teach what is most important, and grow together in love and laughter. Grateful for you, happy to be yours. The first card from the Paper Pumpkin designed kit that we're going to make is our leaf card here. So the main pieces that we're going to need are our card base. Now the one thing that I want you to see, hopefully you can see that, is where the scoring is. So this could be a little bit confusing. So let me just show you how I have been working with this card. Whenever you take your card, take the whole card like this, and then fold it the other way. Okay, so whereas it was folded like this, we're gonna flip that around. Okay, and then fold this piece back. Okay, so that it opens like this. And now we have 1, 2, 3 panels. And this piece is going to sit right on top of here. And then we will embellish and add our sentiment. Okay, so you can use your adhesive from the kit. In this case, you would use your adhesive dots to back this. I highly recommend getting the Snail adhesive, or if you have any other type of adhesive, glue, double-sided tape, whatever you have on hand. If you want to move a little more quickly, if you're going to be making a lot of cards, I would recommend adding in your own adhesive. But if you're really just working with the contents of the kit, then they provide enough adhesive in the kit for your cards. So you'll see me using the Snail today. It is definitely faster. I'm only going to do adhesive on the one side because we don't want it to stick on the other. Okay. So here you can see there's that panel. We're going to pop out our leaves. So with the die cuts, I would always suggest be gentle because they have just these little spots right here where you need to pop them up. And whenever you're working with a delicate die cut like this, meaning there is, you know, the stem, you don't want to rip it. So just take your time. I would recommend holding it at the base as you pop them out if you're getting close to the base. So you can see like this little part is still attached. So we're just going to pop the base pieces away, and we're going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to get the leaf loose, and then I'm going to pull from the base. Same up here, get the leaf loose, pull. Okay, and you're in pretty good shape there. All right, now this goes all the way across. On this card here, they're popped up on the mini dimensionals. These leaves are the perfect size to hide your mini dimensionals. You'll see what I mean by that. Just to show you, just to compare, if you've never seen it, let me see where my, oh here, my little adhesive pouch. This is what a regular size dimensional looks like, and that's the baby. Okay, so the minis are what come in this month's kit. Perfect size for behind the leaf. So we're going to add one behind each. The next thing we're going to do is stamp our sentiment. So the one that we're looking for here is I'll always be here for you. We really need the support cards right now. It's a wonderful stamp. I'm gonna take my Pear Pizzazz because we're working with the original card designs. All right, we're gonna be stamping onto one of these. My recommendation with this is, because this L comes all the way up, get the Here For You as close to the bottom with, as you can, without going off of your sentiment piece, your little banner. Okay, and then that way you'll get your whole L in there too. I'm going to put this on a dimensional 2. I'm going to wait to pull the other side of the backing off though, so I'm going to do 3. Now on our instructions, the instructions I usually check for measurements. So with our ribbon, they're recommending that we cut 5 inches. So the other thing that you're going to want to have on hand whenever you're working with a kit is your Stampin', your paper snips, or your scissors, whatever you use. All right, and then in the picture, it's folded. Okay, it's folded over, so we're going to fold at the 2.5 inch mark. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to put just a little touch of adhesive to give the ribbon something to adhere to. And then we'll just fold it in half. If you want the measurement, just fold at the 2.5 mark. And then I'm going to cut the tips off at an angle. And that's optional, of course. Okay, and then we're going to adhere this. So I'm going to get a little bit more adhesive on the back. And then we're going to pull our little protectors off of our Stampin' mini dimensionals, and I'm going to add that right above here so that our Melon Mambo ribbon shines through. The last thing that we're going to add are our little pearls. I like the Take Your Pick tool, the little putty side that can grab your pearls quickly and easily to add them to the card. We're going to use the Mint Macaron pearls here. Okay, and there is card number 1. For the second card, we are going to need the card base, which we have here. Okay, so this is how it looks when you first get it. And you're going to fold and fold. Okay, and then this is going to go upright. We're going to use this as a guide for our stamping. We're going to need two birds that face each other. We'll just put those aside. We're also going to need a crushed curry layer. We're going to need our soft seafoam banner. Our die cut tree. Same thing with the tree branches as what we just talked about with the leaves. Just be really gentle when you're pulling that out. I would say hold it securely at the branches so that when you pull it away, you're not yanking off a piece of the branch and tearing it. And it should come out nice and easily for you. Okay, so we're going to be using that. One little thing that I will mention while we're talking about this is I had made the choice to, oh, you guys have got some ink on the back, so don't be like me. Put your stamp pad, close your stamp pad. Okay, in between use. I should probably get a different one, right? I can cover that, or I can cut that up and make that into something else. Let's get a different one. Okay, so we want the cards that are going to our family to be pretty, right? Okay, so I had made a personal decision to cut the tree at the base here so that it didn't pull the whole tree up when you're working with the card. I know that when some people were going through their instructions this month, they were a little confused about a few things, the way to fold your cards, the tree base. I just think it's a personal decision as to how you want to add your tree base. But I wanted it to extend down. I wanted you to see it on the whole card. So that was just what I had decided to do. And that's what we're going to do here. So that may be veering off slightly from the instructions, but just a heads up. And I think that's all that we need. And then of course our pearls. So let's go ahead and stamp this one. So the instructions for this is, they tell you that starting on the right side, stamp the tree foliage by aligning the largest flower shape in the foliage stamp with the same large flower shape pre-printed on the card base. And then they recommend that you repeat that on the left. So what they're talking about is lining these up, or the two largest, which are these two here. So I would rate myself at pretty good. We nailed it on this side, and on this side I was slightly off. And you know what? That's totally okay. So when you bring in your tree, it pretty much covers up this little gap that we have going on here. But of course, if you want to be precise with that, just take your time, take a deep breath, line it up carefully, and then stamp. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this together. I'm sorry for shaking the camera. This table is nothing like my dining room table. I really miss stamping on my dining room table, but we're making the most of it. Going to get my Snail adhesive, or in this case, because this is going to be flat, you would use your adhesive dots. Let me just get a piece of scrap paper real quick, because I will probably go over the lines here. I really want to get the tips. I want the tips to stay down. And then I'm just going to check this side. If you are using snail, there is a chance that you might get a little bit of snail like popping out in between your branches. So I'm just going to clean that out. Okay. Now for this part here, I'm actually going to trim this off. Now these two pieces meet. They don't overlap, but it's okay because by the time we add in our banner, we'll be covering that part up. Okay, so your tree trunk is going to go on the bottom, but I'm going to try to keep that as close to straight as possible. So I'm going to try to match up these two pieces. Okay, just like that. We're going to stamp our sentiment here. This particular sentiment is going to be family where life begins and love never ends. Plenty of room for this stamp. That's with the Pear Pizzazz. Okay, so now I'm going to go onto the lower part here with my snail because I'm planning on adhering it to the bottom part of the fold. Okay, so we don't have any sticky on the top part. We're still seeing the tree trunk here. Okay, but it folds out. Now we're going to add in our birds. We're going to use the mini dimensionals to adhere the birds. And then we will add in our gold pearls. We will add in our gold pearls, or the crushed curry pearls is what I should be saying. Okay, so I added in 5, but I feel like I should add another one. Just one more. So pretty. Okay. All right, so here we go. There is our second card design from the Paper Pumpkin Kit. I had a preconceived idea in my head about what the kit looked like before I actually saw it. So Stampin' Up! Had released a little teaser video about how this kit was going to be all about family last month. And my brain just automatically went to like a vintage, heritage, ancestral type theme. And the first two suites that came to mind before I even laid eyes on this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit were the Magnolia suite and also the sail away suite. I'll find out specifically what the name of that suite is. I'll put a picture up of each one from the annual catalog so that you can get a look at those. Okay, I'm going to be using the Memories and More packs from both Magnolia Lane here, and also the Come Sail Away Memories and More card pack. They have different themes, different colors, but it's the same concept. So I believe that these two cards are actually from Magnolia, and these brown striped ones here are from Come Sail Away. Come Sail Away, probably more than anything else, was on my mind because it has those vintage papers, like those vintage newspapers, the look about them. It has a very old weathered look, and I love that when it comes to designing for ancestry. Now, the one thing that you're immediately going to notice is that there's no room to write your message in your card. So you have two choices. You can either go to the back and leave your note on the back, or you can just add in a little insert, just a little folded note, or just cut a piece to 3x5 or 4x6, tuck it in, and have your note there. For the alternative card for me, I just liked this too much to cover it with anything. So I just wanted to do a spin, a slight spin on the original design. So what I did was, instead of putting the big leaf branch here, I took this leaf ribbon and added the leaf ribbon as an accent here. And I only covered half of it. I didn't cover the whole thing. But of course you could use the leaf stamp, which is what I did here. So that little leaf stamp is what became the trees on this one. And that has more of, like, I think, a vintage look than this one, which to me is a more like modern or folk art type of leaf that you're seeing here. So just a couple of different ideas for you. Just wanted to let you know where my mind was. The Memories and More card packs, the mini cards and the larger cards that come in these packs, make it so much easier because they're already, like, part of it's already done for you, where you already have it framed in. All you need to do is add your stamp and your embellishments and your sentiment if that's what you wanted to add. Now, the downside to creating these when I'm using both is that I didn't have more than one when I created these cards. So when I use these two up, I use them up. So I can't create this card exactly, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a similar concept and I'm going to use those to make the next set of cards. So this set of cards, or this particular card, is for mom and dad. Okay, so if you're sending it to mom and dad, and then you can also do one for daughter and son. I didn't put any here, but you could. If you're just going to direct it to one person, or you're going to address it to just one person, then you don't have to, define who it's for. Or you can either send one to, if you have a brother and a sister, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. You can customize that to whatever works for you. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to flip the card. We're going to take this crease. We're going to fold it all the way over. We're going to take this score line. We're going to fold it back just like this. We're going to just push that down, and that gives us 3 panels. On the original Stampin' Up! Card, when you open this, these 2 panels are covered, and you have this panel to write your sentiment. Okay, so I really just wanted to point that out in case you wanted to leave this panel blank so that you could just write your sentiment right here, or write your little note, your greeting. If you want to cover the whole thing like I did, and that's how I'm going to recreate it today, just know that you're going to create an insert or just have a little place to write your extra notes. Okay, so for this card, what we're going to do is we're going to add this note right in here, and it's already framed in. So I'm going to take my Snail Adhesive, just going to place this piece right in here. Okay. We're going to need 2 frames for our panels. I have a little variety here. This one is actually from Magnolia Lane. Okay, these are the ones that I do have available to me. So if you want to go with sort of a look like this, you could do that. Or we have this framed option. Okay, that's really nice. Your greens may not be an exact match, but they'll be close. Okay, so this is just sort of how I design alternatives. I just run a few ideas through. I see which ones that I like the most. Keep in mind, these are double-sided, so make sure that you're comfortable using the side that you choose. These actually already have sentiments in them, but if you want to say, you know, sending you warm wishes for your special day, and then put in a second panel there, you know, you could do that. Or if you want to keep it like this. Okay, so this is what the frames look like. This is what your striped panels look like. So if you didn't want to frame it in, if you wanted to do a layering piece and then just do like a layer of Whisper White over top of this and stamp your trees on, you could do that. I like this. Okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to use the 2 of these. And before I adhere the panels, I'm actually going to do my stamping. Okay, so we're going to need our tree, and we're going to need our tree trunk. I'll use this one. Okay, so we're going to use the Early Espresso as the tree trunk color. I'm going to do one panel at a time just in case, you know, if I would get ink on my hand or something, I don't want it to come off on the panel. We're just going to aim for the middle. Just pressing on it to make sure that all of the ink is going to transfer. Okay. Same thing here. Our leaves are going to be Pear Pizzazz. So I already have one that says daughter, but what we're going to do is we're going to make the one that says son. For that, we are going to grab one of these. We're going to need our little leaf stamp or our leaves branch. I'm just going to grab the stamp that says Sun. I used early Espresso for, I believe, the majority of the sentiments on my alternatives, but I'll double check that. So we're just going to stamp Sun. And then we're going to use the Pear Pizzazz. And on the one side, our little branch is going to be going down. And on the other side, it's going to be going up. So down and up. I'm wiggling the stamp around a little bit more because for whatever reason, when I was stamping this initially, I really couldn't get like a good clean image. But once I did the wiggle, it was fine. Okay, so now we're going to adhere our panels. Okay, the other thing is, like, if it is just to your daughter or to your son, in my case, it would be my son. So if you are just going to have it go to one or the other, you could leave the middle panel open for someone to write, or for a place to write is what I should be saying. So here is a good alternate card project for you. That's for daughter and son. Here's what it looks like for mom and dad. The variations here, because it's all basically the same concept, is I cut out the leaves from the leaf ribbon and glued those on, or you could also use the adhesive dots. That would be fine here. I used the crushed curry pearls on this one as opposed to this one where we did mint macaron. And I did the little leaf branch as the leaves on the branches here. And this is the die cut tree, okay? And this is the stamped tree. So same colors, but added in just a few different pops. Just gives a whole different look to the card, but still kind of keeps within that theme. Okay, so of course this is with the leaf ribbon. This is without. Okay, and if you haven't seen the leaf ribbon before, that's this ribbon right here. Okay, and that is called leaf ribbon. 3/8 of an inch, 5 yards. All right, so I'm not going to put together the second card. I just wanted to show you what this looks like when you use the memory and more card pieces. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about is reconstructing the scrapbook page. The next thing we're going to be talking about is reconstructing this scrapbook page for you if you are interested in this layout or in a layout like this. If, like me, you really gravitate toward a vintage or antique heirloom look, then you'll probably enjoy the products that were used for this particular alternate project. So the first thing that I want to say is that the stamps here, 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 the trees, these little offshoots, you know, for your, as the family tree grows, and the leaves here are all from the April 2020 Paper Pumpkin kit. Okay. And then the alternative items that we're bringing in to incorporate along with the Paper Pumpkin is the Come Sail Away Designer Series paper. Okay, so this sheet here, I love this look. And this is one of the papers that I do not want to cut. I think that there are some of us, you know, you either buy your paper packs in bulk so that you can cut them up and you not feel like you've used up, you know, your favorite pieces, or sometimes you want to keep your 12 by 12 intact because you just absolutely love the pattern. And I think that those are great candidates for doing scrapbook pages, or just keeping in your collection for if you ever need them down the road. So this is from Come Sail Away. This is part of the suite if you're interested in the suite, or this can be purchased just as a paper pack. Here's the other side, just in case you are curious. They're double-sided sheets of the Designer Series paper here. The next thing that we're going to be doing, this is basically just free-handed, like just cut freehand. There was no particular template for this. The only thing that I went by was the smaller tree that came in the Paper Pumpkin kit, just to try to give me the idea of a trunk and a couple of branches, but it was very large. So you might want to make yours smaller, just depending on how much tree you want to see, but there's no specific template there. So you're just going to take a couple of pieces of paper. This is the Very Vanilla cardstock. I wanted to use more of a cream look, but you'll see here that the Very Vanilla has been used with Whisper White. So there's a little bit of both, and that's so that you can make the distinction between the labels and then the actual frames. So your pictures will just go right in here. Okay, so we're going to shade this. We're going to use a sponge dauber and the early espresso to create our tree. So those are already embossed for us. The embossing folder that created that is called Pinewood Planks 3D embossing folder. And this is it here. Okay. We're also going to be using the Heirloom frames and dies. Okay, so this actually comes as a whole set. You don't have to buy the dies separately from the folders. You would get the whole thing, and you may already own this, but if you don't, it's called Heirloom Frames and Dies. The frames are specifically cut to match the embossing folder. So what you would do is, this is a 2-pass thing where you would cut out the actual dies. Then you take those dies, you fit them to the oval or the rectangle. Okay, and then you would close your folder, run it through to emboss it, and this is the result that you get. All of our frames are also in Very Vanilla. For this particular layout, there's 2 ovals and 2 rectangles. You might want to do all ovals, you might want to do all rectangles, just whatever your personal preference is. If you want to see the difference in the ovals between the Very Vanilla and the Whisper White, let me just show you. Okay, so there, I think, is a good distinction between the 2 colors. I'll hold them up a little bit closer so that you can see that this is cream, this is a true white. Okay. We're going to be using some of the trees, and basically we're going to be using them in a downward look here. So you'll see there's a couple connecting right here. That's just the tree base from this, because you see so little of the tree base, but there's actually this much that I just used the extra to try to connect all of our frames together. So it goes from here and here and here and here, which is so fun whenever you're working on the family tree charts. We're going to be using the leaves. The preset color here is Shaded Spruce. For me, for the look that I wanted, I thought that Shaded Spruce was too green, too dark of a green. So I opted to do soft Seafoam. So this is soft Seafoam here and here and here. And you could even do Pear Pizzazz. This, I can't remember if I added in a little bit of Pear Pizzazz or if I did 2 passes of the Seafoam green. We'll find out. But anyway, I just used the opposite side and I colored it. So we're going to do that same thing again here today. And then you saw me make this earlier on our alternate card project. It's the same exact thing. So I'm not going to redo these, but it's the same concept where the leaf is down on this side, up on this side, and then the name is stamped in early espresso. So the leaves are actually done in the Pear Pizzazz for all of these, which is how it differentiates slightly from the green here. It's always good to use like multiple colors. And then I finished off with this little die piece that's in early espresso here is actually from Ornate's, the Ornate Gardens. I'll put up on the screen what die this is from, what die pack that is from. And then we finish off with our lace ribbon here, our lace trim. And that is, it looks just like this. Okay, I used the fine tip glue pen to glue it on because the glue dries clear. So basically just lined this up on the page and glued it down on all four corners and then just trimmed off the edge. I didn't measure it out exactly, but you could, just whatever your preference is there. This is called Scalloped Lace Trim, and this is not white. This is more of a cream color. The next thing that we're going to shade with our sponge dauber, same one, in the soft Seafoam, are our leaves. All right, so now we're going to color our Pinewood planks on the very vanilla and the embossed image here with the early Espresso. What I did on the last one was I did a sponge dauber. One thing that I'm curious to do, if you don't mind, I want to try something a little bit different. I might edit this out too. I was thinking about running the ink pad across it and then sponge daubing. So let me just try that and see what that looks like. Okay, so this one is definitely going to be darker than the last one that I did. So it'll have a slightly different look to it. And I have a second sheet here if I need it. And I can always shade that one too. Okay, so we're going to start to build this out. And as I look at this, I can tell that these were done in Pear Pizzazz. So even though I had originally intended to do the leaves in soft seafoam, I must have grabbed the Pear Pizzazz to do the original ones, which is fine. I mean, these definitely match our leaves here. So if you like that look better, if you like mixing up your greens, you could certainly do that. If you want to stick with the shaded spruce, you know, if you would want shaded spruce to be the color, you could do that. But I just wanted to show you the difference between the soft seafoam and the Pear Pizzazz, just depending on what your preference is. Here is one in the berry vanilla. Here it is in crumb cake. Just taking a look at some of the different options. If you don't want to go as dark as the early espresso layer here. This This is mint macaron. I think that that's a little too on the bluish side to compete with the soft seafoam. So I think what I'm gonna do is the cream with the white. I really like that look. What do you think of that? Let's put that on. Just something a little bit different so that we have some slight variations here. I'm still gonna stamp in the early espresso for the sentiment. And the center for you could be the name, the family tree name. When I had originally put this down, I tried to put it down flat and it did not want to lay flat. There was a little bump there. So I ended up pulling it up and repositioning it and putting some Stampin' dimensionals underneath in the middle. So you may or may not be able to do that, just depending on, you know, if it's going to fit in your album. So, you know, as you're gluing things down, slide it in, just make sure that it fits in there okay for you before you go ahead and add in any dimensionals. You know, you can always fix it, but it's better to know before, you know, you have to go back and change something, especially if you're putting photographs, if you're mounting photographs in there. Okay, so we pretty much have assembled our scrap page. I am out of these little ones, so I'm not going to recreate them all, but just so that you have the reference, we would place these here, glue them on, and go right on down. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Give this video a like if you like the projects that you saw today. If you like seeing more scrapbook type pages, let me know. I would be interested in designing more scrapbook pages in the future. And like I said, if you have a chance, leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. All right, thank you so much and have a great day.